that's when the signal shines in. Got the mic set up and the camera spin. Grab a coffee, pull up your chair, join the drive. 'Cause the only place to be on a Monday night at 9 is right here, alive. We're drilling down deep on the legend of fur, the biggest mystery ever did stir. It's Sasquatch Watch Radio. Tune into the same with Gary Kendrick hosting with King. He's heard the howls, he's caught the form's trace, a true seeker leading the chase. Something stirs out in the shadowy wood. Let's uncover it together, just like we should. The team is geared up, the map is laid clear. We bring expert voices where the facts appear. We feature top names on this digital plane, from Meldrum's big theories to Strange Rich Strain. With Lyle Blackburn and Scott Violet online, we chase the elusive one sighting at a time. It's Sasquatch Watch Radio. Tune into the screen with Gary Kendrick, host of the scene. He's heard the howls, he's seen the dark form, a true eyewitness leading the storm. Something is lurking out in the dark wood. Let's find it together, just like we should. We give you the legends, the truth laid raw, and a unique track for the tale of the law. So subscribe to the channel, heed the lead. We're planting knowledge, pulling up the weed. Yeah, Monday night, 9 Eastern, YouTube Live. Sasquatch Watch Radio, where the quest thrives.
Hey everybody, tonight is Monday night, February the 16th, 2026. You're watching Sasquatch Watch Radio, and tonight we have a great guest on. We have Barb Hartman, all the way from Washington State. We're going to go ahead and bring Barb on.
Hi, thank you so much for having me,
Hey
Gary.
Barb, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Oh no ma'am, it's a pleasure, Doing good. Well, I'm going to go ahead and hop right into it.
Okay.
We're going to get started right off the bat here.
Yeah.
What got you interested in Sasquatch?
It's something that I've always been interested in since my dad showed me, the Patterson Gimlin film when I was a little girl. And then now he had said to me, because he used to go fishing up in Canada for salmon on Lake Ontario. And he had said that he had seen one. Well, he said he called it a wild man and said it was all hairy and it was completely naked. But the thing is, and my dad unfortunately passed away, so I can't verify. But the thing is that, like, my dad had such a sarcastic, like a funny, sense of humor. I don't know whether he was serious or not, but I just know that we did. We'd always watch, Bigfoot things. He was interested in it, so that's kind of what got me interested in it. And then I really got into it when we moved to this rural property in Washington State. And my husband found tracks, 18-inch tracks under our house, because our house kind of, it's on a steep slope, and the back goes straight out. And so there is a part under it that's just kind of like dirt and loose gravel. And so he's the one that found the prints first. And there was also some big boulders we live on the Puget Sound. There were big boulders that were in the beach, like down in the beach, and they were upended. And that's not possible for a human. You're going to need to have some like heavy equipment, to do that. So That's yes. That was in 2018, and they really started to kind of make themselves known in 2021. And so that's when I really started to take an interest in, watch them and listen for them. So
Excellent. I know the Patterson Gimlin film was always a big thing with me. That when I was just a boy, I watched it and I was convinced, hey, there's something about that.
yeah,
And then Boggy Creek, I talk about Boggy Creek all the time. That one, when that booger run its hand through that window to grab that guy, yeah. Oh, I
that's
about lost
scary.
some stuff.
Yeah,
it was.
And
especially back there, early 80s.
Yeah, my dad, and he liked to watch that movie, but he tried to keep it like funny, because I was like, ugh, that was scary. Like you said, man, when he reached through that.
Oh, yeah. That one had me. But and I always kind of believed it was real, but I always thought it was like your all's problem. That was all out west thing, Washington, California, Oregon, places like that. And then 2006, I had my own sighting.
Oh, did you?
And I was like, dude, this thing is everywhere. This thing is everywhere.
Yeah, definitely.
So, pretty cool. It's a subject into if you can get around some of the hostilities.
Okay, yeah. Because I have some theories on that. Yeah.
I got a question for you. Can you explain to us, and I've heard you talk about it on some of your videos, the black goggle effect?
Yeah. That's something that's really interesting. And I don't know, have you seen that in videos? Because what I see is that, and this is a lot of times on my home security cameras, that I'll catch them, but although I've caught it on my other, method of photography as well, it looks like they have big black goggles over their eyes. And I think that I don't know what it is. It's not their eyes, because I've seen I don't know how they do it, like kind of from the side, and then you can see I don't think they're wearing, don't get me wrong, I don't think that they're wearing black goggles. I know they're not, but I just don't know, because again, they're so discernible, these big black goggles. And I have seen, what I was going to say is, I have seen like eye glow or eye shine sometimes, occasionally, if they'll like turn their head and you can see it. So I don't know what it is. I think it's really interesting though. Have you ever seen that?
I kind of always thought, rarely, in maybe just a few videos, but I always kind of thought it was just a trick of the light where they have that big brow ridge that sticks out.
Yeah.
I thought it may have been shadowed or something like that. There's always a lot of talk about the eyes, especially eye shine and eye glow.
Yeah.
I kind of stick more to the eye shine, because I don't know of any primate, whether human or otherwise, that has the night vision capability for their eyes, well, any animal, to emit light. And I don't see how they could see if they emitted light through their eyes.
Yeah.
But I'm open to about anything.
Yeah.
And the eye shine, we've seen some eye shine, and it's pretty, and the color spectrum on it is incredible, because they'll go anywhere from like a bright white, amber, green, bright red.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. There's a lot of things with their eyes. And, it leads me to think that maybe it's some type of adaptation that they have for nocturnal hunting and things like that. But, like I say all the time, nobody has one tied up down at the barn that checks on every day to see what it's doing. So we don't.
Yeah.
It's all conjecture right now.
Yeah. My daughter actually saw, and this was one of the things that I would say would be like kind of the first major pieces of evidence after the footprint, footprints under the house. But But I don't, I didn't even think about it being Sasquatch. But in the wood line, which is where they stand now, and I know that all the time, she was coming home from work one night, and it was maybe close to midnight. I think she was like a server, in a restaurant, and she came in and she's like, "Mom, I'm," and she was like terrified. And I said, "What happened?" And she goes, "There's something that's standing out in the wood line, and it has these like big," she said, "it looked like big, like blue spotlights." And she said, and I was looking at it, and I'm trying to figure out, is that a car? Could that be a person? And she said, and then it like blinked. And then she said she was like frozen in fear. She said, like, I wanted to walk in, but I couldn't. So it blinked again, and then she just ran in, and I've never seen that. She's never seen it again. My husband's never seen it. My son-in-law lives with us now. They've never, he's never seen it. So I don't know.
Yeah, the eyes always bring up a lot of questions because, I say that, some people say that it looks, too human or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I've got my own theories on that. I've got a scientific theory that's out there. They call it the uncanny valley theory of human evolution, which we'll talk about later. But anyway, the eyes are like, that's one of the things that people think of, as being very humanistic in Sasquatch. But there are so many differences in the eye. For starters, the size of it. It has a huge eye. Mm-hmm. And, like you said, people have these experiences where they see these blue lights, red lights, whatever. And I don't know if it's some type of, like I said, just ultra night vision to where they have that membrane over their eyes to see at night.
Like a dog or animals, right? Yeah, that can.
Yeah. Or if it's something else, I really don't know, but it's an incredible. If it emits light through its eyes, that would be a really unique specimen. Mm-hmm. Really unique specimen.
Yeah, I believe there are a few. There are a few animals that actually do that. Or is that maybe from the marsupial family, though? I believe. I was talking to Russell Easterbrooks about it one day. He is very knowledgeable about that. And so he had said that is possible, but, I don't know. And like you said, we don't have, and I hope we never have, a specimen, that's we have I'm just hoping that we can, maybe if we can get close enough or to them that they're comfortable. This is kind of what I'm trying to do, that they're comfortable and I can kind of do research, but respectfully, I think that's, hopefully the way that we can go. I don't know. I know it sounds like, whoo,
Yeah. And, I always try to err on the side of caution because this thing is huge. It's massive. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's a Mack truck with hair on it.
Yeah.
And I always try to get people to err on the side of caution because, we'll take a known terrestrial animal, the black bear or the grizzly bear. Mm-hmm. And we had that guy that was the grizzly man or whatever who ended up being killed.
Yes.
By the animals that he thought he was so close to. So right. I think, always err on the side of caution. That's kind of my advice for everybody out there. It would be great if you could have kind of like a personal relationship with Sasquatch to where you could actually, like you said, study it respectfully and things like that. Mm-hmm. But in the same respects too, they're dangerous. And that's kind of my own, personal opinion. And I talked about it last week with Sarah Brown. We had her on. She's from Washington, up near your area.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I told her, when it comes to like Washington State and California, Sasquatch is kind of viewed as this, peaceful forest hippie. Mm-hmm. And back here, I'm a little more cautious of it because I've had things like rocks thrown at me and things like that. So I tend to be a little bit more cautious.
Mm-hmm. When they threw the rocks at you, what was the circumstances?
The very first rock throwing experience that I had, I was walking. And I was walking on a main road not too far from my house.
Uh-huh.
I used to walk quite a bit, just get out and get some exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And we whizzed a pretty good sized rock right in front of me. And I thought that initially that maybe, hey, it just rolled off because, I'm trying to explain it away. It just rolled off the mountain and landed there, And I was like, that's what it was. That's what it was. And then the next thing I know, here comes another one. And no, it was thrown.
Big.
Right. It didn't fall.
Projectile. Mm-hmm.
And, probably the weirdest rock throwing experience I've ever had, or any kind of experience like that, was we was on this one particular property in Spotsylvania County, Virginia, and I'm here to tell you what, that place is hot. Every time we was there was some kind of activity. And I always carry a little bit of stuff with me. I have food and water and things like that because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I was eating an apple, and when I got done eating an apple, I threw the apple core over into the weeds. It's an apple core. Something's going to eat it. It's not litter.
It's going to degrade. No, exactly.
Throwing something away. But me and two other guys sat there and we talked for a few more minutes, and then something got thrown at us, and it landed pretty close to us. And we were all debating on whether we should cut the light on to see what it was. And we sat there for a little while and listened and didn't hear anything. And I cut the light on. When I cut the light on, the apple core that I had thrown into the weeds was laying in front of me.
Oh my gosh.
Or whatever it was, it threw it back at me. So yeah, that's probably the weirdest experience I ever had like that. Do you guys have any rock throwing experiences like that there?
I only had one, but this is absolutely wild. And they were not trying to harm me. It was naughty little kids, Sasquatch, because they literally were laughing, because what they'll do is I don't know, I'm not sure what exactly they do, but they torment our dog at night. And whether it's making noises or whatever, he'll start to get really upset. He'll start to look out. Our windows are pretty big on that face the woods, and they're pretty low, so he can see out. He's just little, and he'll start to cry. And so one of my friends had said to me, who's a researcher, she said, Barb, they could be tormenting him and you don't know. It could be some kind of tone that they're making, and that he can only hear, they're doing this. And I said, well, I don't know what to do because it's becoming problematic. And she said, just go out and tell them to stop. And so, and I said, well, what if they get mad or they don't? And she's like, well, you are very respectful, and you just you wouldn't, want to be throwing. If my kids were throwing rocks at them, I would want to know, and I'd be mad, And so she said vice versa, right? So I tried it, and the first couple of times, and it did work, and it actually does work. So one particular night, he was really upset, and this is funny because I didn't really know if my daughter believed in them because she's very scared of the whole concept. But she said, "Mom, would you go out and talk to them?" I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You know how you do that thing where you talk to them?" And she said, "Because I don't know what to do with him because he just keeps crying." So I went out and I heard, as soon as I got out there, I heard giggling, coming from the forest. And I was like, oh my God, am I hearing this? Because that's the first time I heard anything like that. And I was like, okay, guys, okay, kids, please stop tormenting my dog. He's getting very sad. Please knock it off. So then I turn around, three little baby pieces of gravel were thrown. I didn't actually feel them as much as I heard them, and then I looked down and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, oh, you guys knock it off. I'm like, I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to tell your parents. I'm going to let your parents know. So that night, I think I call him the clan elder. He came up, and I have it. I got audio of it because he came up to the house, close to the house, and was letting me know that he was there. And I could hear him. It was like he was not happy. And there's a female, and she like coos kind of. She makes like cooing noises, and she seemed like she was trying to like calm him down maybe. And then something was said, and he actually like laughed, but but he was like clearly upset about it. And I just think he was saying, hey, I'm sorry. I don't know. Sorry what my kids did. And because we didn't have a problem for a long time after that. So, coincidence? I don't know.
Comment up right here.
Yeah.
Mike Nation, do you believe it's all to get your attention? You believe any of the rock forever thrown at anybody has ever hit anybody? Because I'm pretty sure they take people out. They're pretty accurate. But like one of my favorite rock throwing stories is from Vietnam. And an American soldier had a rock ape that hit him in the back with a rock. And it was a pretty substantial sized rock. And he thought it was somebody in his own unit. And when he turned around, he could see the rock ape. So I think it is. I think it's a form of like aggression. I think it's like the lowest level. They're saying, hey, don't come here. We're going to hurt you.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I treat it.
Like if there's babies around,
situation. When I get into a rock throwing situation, I back out.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's him saying, hey, too close, move.
Yes. When you had that first rock, were you packing? Were you carrying?
Yes.
That I bet, because I've heard so many people say when they have a bigger rock thrown at them, and they're usually, I think it's more of a like, I know what you have potentially, and now you have to back off. I don't know. Maybe there were kids there or whatever. I do know a couple, I don't want to mention her name because I don't have permission, but I had interviewed her and she told me the story that they were getting rocks thrown at them. And instead of backing away, they continued toward, and she got hit in the forehead, and she didn't get knocked out, but she had a pretty, big hematoma on her forehead. And so they were like, that was just, we shouldn't have done that. And I'm like,
rock throwing and stick throwing is really common in most primates, chimpanzees especially. And I can only relate because I've never physically saw Sasquatch pick up a rock and throw it. I can only kind of relate it to what I've seen other primates do, but they throw sideways, and they're pretty daggone accurate with it.
Yeah. Almost every
that's
time,
what I think. I think that's
I was just gonna say almost every time that and I'll explain that process, like as far as like how I get the audio and why. But every time I have the camera turn on and they know if they're there, they'll within like 3 to 5 minutes, there's this like little like plink. So they've never moved the camera, harmed the camera. It's just like they're letting me know. And it's with this, I guess it must be a little piece of gravel. I don't know, but it's just, and it's really cool because sometimes it's, it'll be really quiet. And I'm like, I'm not hearing anything, but then I'll hear that. And then I'm like, okay, well, hey, at least they know they're here and whatever, they see me. And usually I'll turn the camera off after that because I don't know if they're saying, like, hey, we're here and we know that you're watching us, or they're also like, okay, that's enough. If it's been a few minutes. So I just will turn the camera off after that.
I think, especially with game cameras, I think there's like 3 things. I think Bigfoot can actually hear the camera because all of them make a noise, and we can't hear it, but that doesn't mean that they can't hear it. And then 2, I think they can smell the cameras, especially game cameras. Black bears will steal game cameras off of trees because it smells like formic acid, which is like in an anthill. And they think they're getting them into a big bunch of ants to eat.
Oh, wow.
And I think they can actually see the IR lights.
Yeah.
So, I think it's the threefold why cameras don't really work that great You know, that's always the thing. Well, why doesn't somebody get it on game cam?
Yeah.
And, you know, I think when you click that camera on, they can hear it turn on. And I think they can see the light on it. So
Right.
I think it's probably got a lot to do with it.
And now the ones we have at our
I know
house.
anytime anybody.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the ones we have at our house
go
are
ahead.
infrared, so they have that like red circle that you know, that turns on. Like they can see it. We can't see it. Like I can't see it looking at it, but I've seen it through through the other camera, and I'm like, whoa, you know, that's what they're seeing, and it puts out this pretty bright light that I'm sure that, and so they know. Now they're just like Arlo home security cameras. They have night vision and infrared. But my son-in-law, he is a big hunter in Pennsylvania, and he said they have at their hunting camp, they have game cameras, you know, set up around, so they can kind of watch watch what's there, you know. And he said, Barb, you know what he said? We've noticed we put these new cameras up, and the buck are not like we never catch one on. And he said, and we've even seen their prints behind the cameras. So like you said, I think that's what it is that, you know, whatever it is, whatever it emits or whatever, they know, and they know to avoid it. It's bizarre.
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna bring this comment up right here too and discuss it just a little bit. If you don't care. Ray Mosley said the best Bigfoot footage was Patty. No infrared light emitted. It's probably not cameras that they see, but the light. We had Doug Highcheck, and I'm sure everybody's familiar with Doug Highcheck.
Yeah, sure.
Who directed Monster Quest.
Right.
And Doug said that if you can find one of those old wind-up cameras, he said you can still find them. He's got one. And he said you can still buy the film from Walmart.
Really?
And he said carry one of those. Yeah. He said carry one of those old wind-up cameras. He said because it doesn't make a sound until you pull the trigger. And that makes a lot of sense. That's why they probably got such good footage. Is there was no hour light emitted. There was no sound of the electronics in it. It was just an old wind-up camera. And it didn't make a sound until he pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Moving on here, I'm going to get into this. I know you researched the areas of the Key Peninsula in the state of Washington and the Olympic Peninsula in the state of Washington.
Right.
What is the difference in these two areas?
Okay.
And what makes each area a good research area? Okay.
Well, we live on the Key Peninsula, and it's just a small peninsula within the Puget Sound, which in the southern area, the southern Puget Sound. And I don't have to go very far from my house because they literally are like coming up onto the property overnight. There's an area that I can just walk right along. And that's where it's very active. I call it like Area A because it's very, very active. Occasionally I can look in and I can just see them sitting in there. Like they're just like, I hate to say this, but like, just like silverback gorillas, although they don't look like that, but just like at the zoo, would be kind of just sitting around and sometimes they'll like glance at me, but not mostly. They're just like aloof. And I know that they know they're there. I always say, hi, I'm coming in without, I'm here with no camera, or I don't have my phone with me. Or if I do have the camera, I'll say, hi, I'm here. I'm going to have the camera on. If anybody wants to, show up, if anybody wants to be seen, please, please do. And really there's this like a main kind of road into my house, and all along there is just this thick forest of cedar and pine tree, the tall fir trees, the royal fir. I can't think. Royal fir, I think they're called, or something like that. Anyway, huge. The cedars are so big. I think it's just like the perfect kind of habitat because we have the sound there. The South Sound is water. It's a saltwater estuary. So, you have all the shellfish, there's salmon, there's other fish. We have a lot of streams around us, a lot of ferns, a lot of berries, just really rabbits. Well, no, actually, it's funny. We had rabbits when we moved to this property in 2017. We'd seen rabbits. I have not seen any rabbits for a few years. Somebody had said, oh, maybe they've kind of eaten up the population of those. I don't know. And so that's the Key Peninsula. It's a much smaller area. The Olympic Peninsula, we built a little tiny little house out here in it's a community, a beach community because it's on the Pacific Ocean. But it backs up to Department of Natural Resource land of it's Washington State. And there's trails that go along it. And that has been, oh my gosh, that has been so awesome. I have seen the most unbelievable wood structures out here. What it is that it was like an old growth forest that was planted, planted over and over, and it kind of just destroyed the land. So that's what they use for the community. And then they've maintained a lot of green space and whatnot, but where the trails are, this border, it's like nothing, nothing, then solid trees. And I think so some of the stuff that they make these structures is trees that were cut down or just kind of laid along, the areas. But there's no way, because my husband's like, oh, I think maybe people did that, like with bulldozers and excavators. And I'm like, that was what he, first said. But then I'm like, okay, let's look at this and let's think about this, because you can't get any sort of heavy equipment in because the trees are close together. And these structures are massive. They're like kind of like some like Lincoln log, and then of course the teepee shapes. It's just unbelievable. It really, really, I love it. I'm just so excited about it. And I think one of them, one of the videos that I think that I sent you was, I don't know what, it's a crawling Sasquatch. Solid black. I mean, I don't know what else it could be, because you clearly can see this figure crawling and then he kind of ducks, and it's broad daylight. So, there wasn't any shadows on him that he would, so if it was a person, but it's freaky because I did not see him at all when I was filming. I didn't see him. But that's typical. There's so many that I will kind of get peeking at me, and I usually don't see them. Now, some, if they're far enough away, I don't know. I have this, I don't know, like it's like a sense that I feel like something's looking at me, and I don't know. Have you had that happen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I just kind of follow that when I'm out, just hiking, and so yeah. So that's it's a lot bigger area out here. And yeah, so the Sasquatch are, I think back home on the Key Peninsula, I've been told there's like two kind of large clans. Now the Key Peninsula is only like 5 miles wide. I don't know. It's much longer, than it, like deeper than it is by width. And I think that these two clans kind of, are maybe some are related. They're so different. I mean, there's some that look like silverback gorilla is one I've seen. I've seen one that looks like so Native American, like almost like handsome, very, but his face was like, it looked like the tree bark kind of. And he had black, like slick back hair, and he was like more thin. And then I've seen like the bulkier ones that you kind of like the patty. But the ones that are near me that are like that, they're more like, they have much more like red in their hair, like on their, their body hair. So I think out here on the Olympic Peninsula, that's where I'm at right now at our house there. I think that they're large. I don't know, definitely larger and taller. And I don't know if it's because of maybe how I'm seeing them though. I don't know, because I'm not ever going to like run up to them if I see them, or approach them. I think that's where you get yourself in trouble. Keep a respectable distance. I'm just glad that sometimes they show themselves. They allow me to see them. That's what I'm glad about that. There was a little bit of an adjustment period though when I started, because we took possession of the house on the Olympic Peninsula on May 2nd. And I went out right away and started, to photograph and see and look for prints and all that. And I think that I didn't go about it. I was too like gung ho, like, hey, here I am, and I'm going to get evidence. And I hit with, I'm not sure what it is, infrasound, whatever, basically it just makes you so sick that I'm like, can just make it back to my house and I'm incapacitated for about 2 or 3 hours. And I don't know what that reason, some people say that it's infrasound. Other people say other things. But that has really dissipated after a few, maybe about 2 or 3 months, because I'm trying to like grow this, like mutual respect. I'm not saying I'm going to go out and have a, beer with them or, invite them into the house, anything like that. Go out and, people are like, you going to go out and hold hands? No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about like a respectable, mutual relationship that, you follow my rules. First I follow their rules, and then I want them to follow my rules, and that's I kind of backtracked, and that's what I did. And I like apologized to them for coming into their home without permission and trying to take pictures. And then I gifted them some food and some flowers. And I would say, this is an offering, this is a gift. It's not anything this isn't something I'm going to do all the time. And that seemed to work. So now I've been getting some, I've been getting some good evidence. What is interesting here is that they're coming up to the house closer, and I can hear them through, like with my own, with my ears, but we don't have cameras here at this house, like outside. So, so that's the difference though.
You brought up 2 points that I wanted to talk about, but one thing I want to say before I get into those 2 points is, you were talking about they appear to be bigger. I think it's Bergman's, I don't want to say law, it's Bergman's principle, Bergman's law, or something like that.
Yeah.
But the further south an animal is, the smaller they are. The closer to the equator they are, the smaller they are. The further away from the equator they are, the bigger they are. Because, like in Alaska, they have reports of some that are 12, 14 feet tall.
Yes. Yeah.
So that would kind of make sense. The further north you go, maybe the larger that they are. But the 2 points that I wanted to bring up was, what are your thoughts on the stick structures?
I don't know. I mean, they definitely do them. And I'll tell you, we've tried to replicate what they do, my husband and I, and we were not able to do it without like tying string, or I don't know how they do it. Because seen really amazing ones, and I don't know how they build them. I don't know, but I'm not sure. I think some of them are for like, like a blind, or like a creche, what they keep the babies in, like a plate pen area that's safe. And then just maybe just a little bit of for shelter, but I don't think that they need that. I think that whatever their body is like composed of and their hair, I think that they don't have to worry about the natural elements, like a human would have to. We have to, we have to have fire or whatever, a source of heat. And I don't think they need that.
Another question too that you brought up was infrasound. What are your thoughts on infrasound?
All I know is that there is some ability that they have. And I don't know, this goes back to like the goggle effect. I don't know what it is. I don't know exactly how they do it, but the very first time I heard one, I was hit, with that. And I thought it was a fear response is what I thought. I thought, oh my gosh, like, am I having a heart attack, or am I having like, what is happening? Because of course, my heart's pounding. And then I'm like, oh, I felt so dizzy and like disoriented. But then the feeling left me as soon as it occurred. And I think what's cool it's too much of a like coincidence is that when they had it on whatever for like, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 seconds. And then it, like I said, it left me, like it stopped. And I realized, oh my gosh, like I wasn't even walking back to my house. I was walking toward this deep ravine, but I would probably have fallen because in my mind, I remember thinking like, I just have to get to my house, but I couldn't have done that. There's a ravine between my house and this area. And when when that like left me, that feeling left me, I then was completely lucid. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going the wrong way, and then I corrected my course and went, but then it happened again. But then at that point, we have call it like a carport. I could see the roof of the carport. And I thought to myself, just keep walking to the carport, just keep it up. My family knew that I was out. They knew that where I was, but I had been only out there for an hour, and, I could be out there a few hours. But I said to my husband, if it starts to get dark, come and look for me. So, and I was able to make it to the property line. And really at that point, it completely left me, and I had no other symptoms of it. And so what's different out here is when I get hit with that feeling is that it lasts, and it's much more like incapacitating. I mean, it's incapacitating. I mean, wow. It's horrible. It's a terrible feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is.
A lot of large animals use infrasound. Tigers use it as a hunting tactic. I think most big cats use it as a hunting tactic. Elephants use it for long distance communication and things like that. Kind of my own personal opinion on infrasound is it's a real possibility because you have too many people that have had, encounters with it. But I hate the term zapped.
Yeah.
I got zapped.
Yeah. No, I know.
I don't think infrasound works like a directional thing. I don't think they can say, okay, here comes Barb, I'm a zapper.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of a broad spectrum type thing because it's a sound. So it's not exactly like you can, zoom it in. And then, anyway, I think that you have to be susceptible to it. I'm a Marine veteran and my hearing is not good. Okay. So I don't think I am susceptible to it because of that. I don't think my hearing is good enough for me to be affected by it. But with that being said, I could be completely wrong. So I just think you have to be like I said, my own personal theory is that you have to be susceptible to it and you have to be within the radius of it. I think you have to be close enough to it, susceptible to it for it to work. But there's too many people that have instances where they've been hit with what I think is infrasound. Mm-hmm. Well, if like earlier when me and you first started talking, I asked you what kind of music that you liked.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a really strange question for a Bigfoot show. But we make all of our guests that come on the show a song. So we're a little over halfway here, so I'm going to go ahead and play your song for you.
Okay.
Static on the radio, 9 p.m. sharp play. Voice comes through the feedback in the dark. She moved to the peninsula in 2003, searching for the giants that remain unseen. The key is locked, but she's got the map. Avoid the ego, avoid the trap. Oh, Bob Horn Hartman, no drama, just the truth. She's listening to the forest and the echoes of our youth. Infrasound is shaking the floor. She's the one who's opening the door. No drama, no lies, just the Sasquatch in her eyes. Stick structures woven in a geometric line. 18-inch footprints, a signature sign. Gifford pinstripe 29, the heaviest silence you've ever seen. She doesn't want the fame or the TV light, just a safe space to talk about the things in the night. Daddy told her stories of the Canadian wild, the legend of the mountain man for a curious child. Now she's the witness, she's the one who hears vocalizations through the passing years. She's no drama, no drama. The truth. She's listening to the forest and the echoes of our youth. Infrasound is shaking the floor. She's the one who's opening the door. No drama, no lies, just the Sasquatch in her eyes.
Oh, that was awesome. That was a good one.
That was, I was almost to tears, and I'm like, stop it, because if I start, they're not going to stop. That was amazing. Oh,
That was a good
God.
one. That was a real good
That
one.
was amazing.
That was kind of late 70s, early 80s rockish. That was pretty cool.
Gosh, and the word, the lyrics. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Oh, you have to.
It's all AI.
Can I have a copy of that, please?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. I'm going to use that if it's okay, and I'll give you credit. In my. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. That completely captured everything. I thank you so much. Oh my gosh.
That was awesome.
Amazing.
Wow. Talking about stick structures.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of what I think And, you know, like I said, I'm an outdoors guy. I like to
Mhm.
hunt. I like to fish. I camp a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to the stick structures, I kind of try to interject. Some of them, when you look at it, that is somebody made that a human
Mhm.
made it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Like one of my greatest examples is any stick structure that you find in Salt Fork State Park now is suspect because everybody's out there.
Mhm.
And some
Mhm.
people found a stick structure that they thought, you know, Sasquatch had made until they got to checking it out on the inside and things were tied with square knots. I don't think
Yeah.
Sasquatch is tying square knots.
No,
So,
no. Yeah, you
you know, some
definitely
of
have.
them
Yep.
are suspect,
Mhm.
but with that being said, I think a lot of it are, and like I said, it's only conjecture because I don't really know. I don't know what they are, but I think that they might be some type of trail marker, maybe a boundary marker, something like that.
Yep.
And you know, when you think back to the old Lord of God, I'm gonna date myself like back to the old Planet of the Apes movies. And when they
I
did the
know what
Planet
you're
of the
talking
Apes
about.
movies, remember the apes had
Yeah.
they had the big scarecrows built along the edge.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of
Mhm.
that may be something like what they're doing. You know, that may be a boundary marker saying, "Hey, this
Yeah.
is this is our land." You know, back off. So I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
maybe that, and it could be too. You know, like you said, a sheltering area. The Olympic Peninsula is famous right now for the nests.
Uh-huh.
You know, they
Yeah.
found, I think, good Lord, it was
Yeah.
way up there. It was like some or maybe 30 some nests that had been built over the years.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think, yeah, they are making stuff. But
Mhm.
and it's the same with Sasquatch research for everybody, I think. Once you think you have something nailed down, then you come across something that only starts more questions about what you thought you had nailed down. I don't think we can
Absolutely.
ever really
Mhm.
nail it down.
Yep.
It's just more questions.
Yep. Absolutely.
Um, I'm gonna move along here so we can get to our videos real quick. What are your thoughts on home range or migration?
Um, I think that in the case of back home, because that's really the only thing that I've been able to kind of like study that clan, those two clans. And I'm really blessed. I feel so blessed. I think that I, so I don't feel that they migrate because I feel like there's a stable area for them. There's a stable environment. Where they
Mhm.
can be and they're not going to be under threat. Um, but I do think that some of them leave, and I've been told that it could be there's this big like meeting where they'll take their kids that are of breeding age that and ready to be paired up, and they'll take them. So there's not the problems with inbreeding. um
Mhm.
but I mean, I don't think now I have no idea here on the Olympic Peninsula. I mean, this is the area, this is close to the area that they supposedly go, although they do go up into Alaska though too for this big meeting. And I don't know if if you watch what is it, Expedition Bigfoot.
I've watched a few of them.
Well, and some, okay, take it with a grain of salt, right? But was really interesting to me, the last season, they actually talked about that they had were able to track patterns of Sasquatch, like going up through the like going into these ranges, like or travel points
Mhm.
that people were seeing them. And it was just a certain time of the year. And I'm like, well, gosh, that is exactly what I was told. It was just so weird, uh, so I don't know. Um, Probably in some areas, maybe it's necessary for them to migrate. Now, my good friend Tom Cantrell, who just passed away yesterday, gosh, he's such an amazing, like such a legend. And he said that they really don't unless it's necessary. They don't, they don't typically migrate, although they will have some, that they'll be, gone into another clan through they're partnered up and so, yeah.
I'm kind of stuck on the migration and home range thing. I think they have a huge home range myself, but I think they migrate within this home range. And I mean, when I say a huge home range, it could be 1,000 miles. It could be more.
Yeah.
Because, these things are upright and they're huge and they move. I mean, when they move, they are moving.
Yeah.
So I think that from time to time, they are kind of transient. They do move within maybe this huge home range, depending on food sources, maybe accommodations for like birthing or mating or something like that. And that's not unheard of in the animal kingdom.
Right.
One of the largest migrations on Earth happens in Africa. With the wildebeest where they migrate. So that's it's kind of, I don't know. It's almost subjective the way you look at it, but. We don't necessarily think about something having a home range of that size, but it's not uncommon for a deer to travel 20 or 30 miles within his home range, and that is one white-tailed buck that's covering that area.
Yeah.
So you take something that's a lot larger that can move a lot farther. It could be huge. So that's all. And I think too a lot of like transient Bigfoot that people see. I'm gonna go back to another guest that we had, Thomas Seawood. Thomas says, "Beware the road. Beware the road." So I think that there are young males that once they reach a certain age, that they do get kicked out, and they do move on to try to find and establish their own home range and their own clan and things like that, or whatever you want to call it. So I think that does have a lot to do with maybe sometimes people do see some that are, kind of like he says, the rogue, they're either old and been kicked out by a new male, or they're young and been kicked out by, an older male. So it's either a really old one or a young one.
Yeah. Yeah. Tom Cantrell and others, they feel that when you have a rogue male, it's basically just a male, because he doesn't know of any female that were rogue, but it's a male that it just, they get to a certain age, and like some young men do, they just gets whatever, won't follow the rules. They go and do something horrible, and they're putting the clan at risk. So those are the ones that get, they get kicked out. And then they can really, those are the ones that people, I think, have problems with, because he said, and others have said that they're not, they have family structures. Their clans are set. They're very much like humans, except that, they stay all together. Whereas, kids have to go everywhere for jobs, whatever. They don't have to worry. So they do stay together. And the eldest or most, powerful male would be the one that kind of sets the rules. So I don't know that. This is just what I was told. I don't know that for sure. I know that the first one that I heard, and I have many recordings of him, and he's very distinctive sounding. And I have not heard him though for about probably 5 or 6 months. And so now I don't know if he moved on or if he'll be back. Because I love he sounds very scary, but I love to hear him because it's just freaking amazing. It just is amazing. And I have, I have a lot of, on my YouTube channel, the No Drama Bigfoot and Cryptids. So, people can, certainly check. There's a lot of stuff on there. They mimic so well. We were talking about the owl sounds. they do that, but it's a little, it's always a little different. There's like a if you feel like if you think an owl has a call, and there'll be maybe like a note that's wrong, or some of them back home in the Key Peninsula, it'll go from like owl sound, and then it almost turns into like a whoop, or like a growl. It'll end in this growl. And so, that ducks, frogs, which is like, that is so freaky. I got some really good audio it'll be 2 weeks now, that this was about 10:30, like 11 o'clock at night, sounded just like little kids. Now, I don't know, was it really little kid Sasquatch? Because I did have that giggling situation that one night. Or were they mimicking? Because it was weird. I heard that with my own ears when I was recording it, not through any my security cameras. And when I went back and listened to the recording, it sounded a lot different. When I'm hearing it live, it sounded a lot more like little kids. When I'm going back through it and I'm able to see, the different noises mixed in, there was a lot more of I say like the gorilla noises, that they make, so, yeah.
With that being said, a lot of people will say, oh, well, Bigfoot is not laughing. Bigfoot is not laughing. That's a human thing. Bigfoot's not laughing. Listen, a lot of animals laugh, okay? If you've ever gone up on a farm and been around a donkey and you do something stupid, or you fall or something, that donkey's going to laugh at you.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And with that being said, too, everybody, and I don't care what camp anybody's from, whether it's the animal camp or the extraterrestrial camp or spiritual camp or whatever, I don't care. Everybody has a lot of respect for Ron Moorhead with what he did.
Yes.
And if you listen to the Sierra sounds, there's one spot in there where Ron mimics the call that Sasquatch made, and you can hear him laugh at him.
Yes. Yeah.
So, the laughing is a very valid thing.
Yeah.
Okay, with that being said, let's hop into the first video here, and we'll view it, and then we'll discuss it a little bit. Now, I clicked the wrong button.
Oh yeah.
Go figure. When I first watched this video, the first thing that came to my mind is that's an owl. And I can get specific for anybody who wants to get specific. That's a North American barred owl. We have a lot of them back here. I'm very familiar with that sound.
Yeah, we have them here too.
That's the first thing that hit my mind. That's an owl. And then I listened to it again because, I was 100% convinced that you recorded an owl. The second part of that call, you can hear it get tripped up. It has almost like a garbled sound.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people get fooled by barred owls because they make this sound called a caterwaul, and they think it sounds like a monkey. But I'm pretty sure that is not an owl.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that is not an owl. That was a really good clip. That's kind of some of the mimicking behavior that we talk about.
Yeah. I have another audio. I have another audio of that same one, and she was much closer this time, and that was so exciting. In the other one I have, and it's on my YouTube channel, she is, you can hear like a laughing, you can hear her laughing, and then you can also hear her like it's almost like a tune. It's like melodic, you know? But so this, I was so excited when she came much closer to the camera this time, because that one, you can hear it, but you know, it's like, and there's really only, here's something else that is, to me, is a dead giveaway, whether it is Sasquatch or not. If there's a lot of ambient noise and you try to clean it up, it's going to be like pieces are missing. And I think that's because when you look at it like on, like on graphic, it'll show that, the peaks and the valleys and the ranges of their voices, their tone. And it's a lot, it's outside of the range of humans and most animals. Mm-hmm. And I think when you try to like reduce sound, it kind of chips away at that. So you'll get this weird sound. So it's really hard to get, to reduce sound. There's a lot of nights, unfortunately, that it's just too like loud, because you could, in that one, you can hear the sound, like the water, the waves a little bit. But other than that, it was pretty, it was pretty quiet. I want to just tell like how I started with recording through my cameras is that in December of 2022, I started getting overnight, we would get like motion notifications, like 20, 30. I mean, that's not, and there's nothing in there, nothing at all. So then I got a couple that, and they would only be like, 10, 12 seconds. Then I got a couple that was longer, and it would almost like it sounded like monkeys or, the growls. And I had like a week of them, but I didn't know how to save them and I lost them. So I'm like, okay, I cannot let that happen. So I figured out how to save them. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I can not only watch it live, I can record. So I just started to do that. I'll, if it's a quiet night, I'll maybe 12:30, I'll get on and I'll start to watch all the cameras. And that's how I've gotten a lot of the recordings, the best, I feel like, recordings. So that's what I do. And yeah. So, but I also have to, I found out, like, if you hear something that really gets your heart pounding, because that's happened to me, if it's too much, I just have to like turn down the volume, because I have like one time, I immediately, when I started the camera, and I do like immediately when I turn the camera on, I'm recording. I don't want to miss anything. There was something so close to the camera, and it was so like, I didn't see anything, but it was so loud and it was scary sounding. And I like, oh my gosh, I I threw my phone, and then I'm like, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. And so then I go over, I get it, and I like turn my phone off. Then I thought, how dumb is that? Like, I don't want to turn my phone off. So now I just turn down the volume, because other than that, if it's something like that, I mean, I'll be there with my heart pounding, like all night long. So in order to try to get some sleep. So anyway, so that's how I do that.
I think in this first video, if you listen to it at the very beginning, you can hear a high-pitched sound that's way farther off.
Yes, exactly. That was cleaned up and
then you got the sound at the flow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were calling back and forth between the two.
Probably.
Yes. It's a pretty good video.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the next one here.
Hi guys, it's Barb Hartman. I have another weird video for you. This was taken through our Wise camera. It's at the front view yesterday, December 11th, 2025. And I was getting motion notifications from really all night long. But these are the type of notifications that are weird with the motion, because it should trigger a video to be recorded, and none of these did that. So the motion was that fast to trigger a notification, but not actually do a video. I did want to mention that it was not raining at the time. You can see it here. It had been raining quite a bit prior to this and after, but I decided not to include those videos yet. I'm going to look at those a little deeper. So let's just...
Okay. Yeah, so that was part of a video. But when I went over to, to watch and record, that's when I saw, I don't know, it just looks like a solid black one, and it's holding I think it has like a baby here on its chest. We did like a reenactment, and it would definitely be a juvenile, like an older juvenile, that was not an adult. It's way too small. I'm thinking maybe like 5 feet tall. We thought maybe about 5 feet tall. So
yeah, really interesting. We've got some security cameras here at the house, and I think they're blink cameras is what we've got. They're not the best, but they do pretty good. And we do get some notifications sometimes, and it does record a video, but there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And that would stump me forever, but I finally figured out what it is. It's a bug. Sometimes we'll have a bug that will fly by and trigger it, and it'll record for a minute, but there's nothing there. But I've never seen where it doesn't record a video. Where you get the notification, but it doesn't record the video.
Yeah.
So that's pretty unusual.
That is what, and what was I going to say? Oh, sorry. It just went out of my mind. I wanted to thank you for your service, by the way. I didn't get a chance to, when you had said, that you're,
that's okay.
a veteran. I mean, really, thank you so much. I don't know what I was going to say. I don't know. Maybe it'll come back to me because okay. I don't know. About that. Yeah.
Okay. We'll go on to the next.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was going to say same thing though, is it doesn't record a video. And I have all the cameras set to, they're kind of so smart now. Like they know that it's not anything that's like a bug, or like the wind blowing or anything, So anyway, I don't know.
I've got the sensitivity on ours turned up pretty high.
Yeah.
Because I like to catch, foxes or whatever that will come through,
Yeah.
But ours now will say there's a person walking on the porch.
Wow.
Or
really?
Yeah. Like it'll say there's a person walking a light colored dog on a leash.
Oh my gosh. Whoa.
So, yeah, I mean, it gets pretty specific. And then we had some that will actually come up and say, there's a small brown deer walking on your porch and it's my wife's dog,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the next clip. We'll hit this next clip here. If I can get it to play.
Oh, this is just a continuation, yeah, of that other one. Yeah, I think this is the same video, but maybe send one with sound and one without sound.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's what this is the same. This is the same one, I think. We can just see though if there's something at yeah. Go ahead.
Do you think that maybe they're throwing a rock by the camera?
Maybe
the camera. That's why it's not catching video.
That could be because they definitely will do that, and to kind of get like, hey, we're out here, and man, some nights I have this on video too. I have it on my channel. Man, some nights I turn on the camera and it's like all these things going by. I think they're throwing like little pine cones. They like to peel pine cones, and somebody said there's a little seed in there. Maybe they like to eat them, but the remnants. And what'll be cool is they'll come from different air, because like, for instance, one of them, my husband's like, oh no, I think that's the wind, like blowing stuff off the trees. I'm like, watch, because first you have some, come this way and then straight down, because I think the juveniles like sit up on our roof, and then it'll be coming like out of the wood line. You know, they're coming from all different directions. So they definitely like to do that.
Well, and I'm going to tell you right now, I lived in California for a while, and that was always one of my favorite things when we lived in California was the pinon pines. We would get the nuts out of the pinon pines, and they are wonderful, salted, wonderful.
Really? Wow.
One of my favorites. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Wow. And I think this last one that you sent us is actually just a still. We'll throw it up, and you can kind of give us a little.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. This is just, I kind of go scrub back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is a video. But like I said, I'm going back and forth because, and he was just, I mean, just briefly, I was able to catch him, maybe half of his body, but I did not see that when I was filming.
It's and that's a good example too. I'll throw that up there again real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you look in the video for people out there in the chat, look at the amount of foliage that's there. You've got big ferns. You've got the trees. And there's something about Washington State. There's always like limbs on the ground.
Yeah.
Blow downs and things like that. Really good hiding spots for anything, whether it's Sasquatch, a deer, a bear, whatever. And it's, when you get into a situation like that, that's what they say, record,
yes,
and then go through and watch your footage and see what you can see. I think a lot of times people
go ahead. I'm sorry. You finish your thought.
No, I think they catch things that are, they didn't necessarily see, but they caught it on video. And after they catch it on video, then they're like, oh, well, what is that? I didn't see that. What is that?
Yeah.
So, and again, too, for the audience, I'm going to say this. Anytime that you have a picture that you're looking at secondhand, like we are tonight, I don't really know what your perspective was because I wasn't there. And it's always hard looking at a still or a video and knowing exactly what's, going on there. You know what I'm saying? It's video is a good piece of evidence, but I swear with the advancements in AI, it's not going to be long before video evidence is not going to be credible anymore.
Yeah, that's sad too.
It's sad.
Yeah,
it's the truth.
Now, going back to Patty,
some of these AI videos are.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of really good ones that I'm like, is that or not? Because they had Sarah. You were talking about Sarah Brown that was on your show last week. She had a picture, a photo, and in one of her, I think it was a post or whatever. And I was like, and I messaged her and I said, Sarah, where did you get that photo? And she said, oh, we think it's just AI. I kind of just used it. I'm like, dang it, because I saw a Sasquatch. It was August 1st of this year out here on the Olympic Peninsula, just across the road from my house, about 7 o'clock. No, it was a little later than that because it was definitely getting dark. Maybe 8 o'clock. He looked exactly like that photo. It was kind of like, if you see something and then you see it, but it's not super, super clear, but I saw him clear enough that when I saw that, like my heart, like, oh my gosh, kind of freaked me out. But I was like, oh my gosh, that is what that Sasquatch looked like. I mean, geez. So they really, they have it down. Yeah.
And I'm a child of the 70s and the 80s. I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, and it fascinates me. Before I had my sighting, I always thought that Bigfoot would look like Patty. You know, the big, dark,
Yeah.
gorilla-like, you know, super blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And when I had my sighting in 2006, I was about 3 feet from it. It stepped out of a ditch in front of my vehicle,
Oh,
and I had a Jeep Wrangler. So I had to
okay.
stop the Jeep. I almost hit it. So it
Whoa.
walked right at the edge of my bumper across the road. So I got a really good look at it. And what I saw looked more Native American, like you described earlier.
Mhm.
It was cinnamon
Mhm.
brown color.
Yeah.
It was kind of a reddish brown. And
Mhm.
even the skin, because I've heard so many people mention that the skin is like a black or a dark
Mhm.
gray or an ashy gray color or something
Yeah.
like that. But even the skin that was exposed was kind of a brownish color. It wasn't
Yeah.
that gray or black or anything. It was kind of brown.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the facial features were Native American like. It had a big, huge, wide, flat nose, but it was
Mhm.
shaped like a native nose.
Yeah. Yeah.
The cheekbones were really high and really pronounced.
Mhm.
You could see them really well. So, I mean, it looked
Mhm.
like some kind of cross, you
Wow.
know, a Native
Yeah.
American. So
Yeah.
it was different. And that brought up to me questions. Did I really see that?
Uh-huh.
Or, you know, was it something different? Because it didn't look like Patty. It was huge. I mean, it was not the big tall the
Mhm.
descriptions of Bigfoot that you get all the time are either they're like really muscular, or you have some
Mhm.
that are tall and gangly like a basketball player. They look like
Mhm.
which when you
And
look at
that's true.
Shaquille
Yeah.
O'Neal, yeah, when you
Mhm.
look at Shaquille O'Neal, he's 7 foot something, 7'2", I think, something like that. And he's tall and which he's like the rest of us, he's chunked up a little bit since he's got older, but
Yeah.
he's still, you know, when he was playing ball, he was tall and he looked really slim and kind of gangly looking. But
Mhm.
that is a big man. You know, he is huge.
Yes.
So, you know, that kind of gives points of reference. But like I said, you know, what I saw, it was huge, but it did not match this gorilla looking
Mhm.
like Patty.
Yeah.
So it almost makes me
Yeah.
kind of think that maybe there's some subtle differences within,
I
you know, the
There
United
are. I
States of
can
how they
tell you
look.
that there are, because like I said, my clan at home, they there's so many different looks. The black, all black hair and that dark, like charcoal kind of colored skin, you know? Um, and those
Mhm.
are easier to see. The ones that freak me out are the ones that are lighter, you know, with like tan, reddish. Some are I've seen I don't know if it was white, I don't know, or silver, I'm not sure. That you know, you don't you really they really blend in. They really, really blend in. Um and now the
Mhm.
closest one that I had that I was about 2 or 3 feet, and I think was a female. I'm not sure because I didn't see breasts or anything. It just like gave me like female energy. I don't know. She was about 7. I can just guess because she's sitting on her butt. She had her legs drawn up, and she had her arms like this on top of her, you know, on top of her knees. And so I could only see her like from here, you know, from like here up. And I was like, oh my gosh, it looks like Chewbacca. Like, wow. And then I was like, what? Like, am I, you know, and this is kind of cute. She like immediately, so she's like this, and immediately when her eyes locked, and then she went like that. So if I had not seen her eyes when I looked in, I don't know, you know, because it's just like this big bush that kind of like hangs over this trail along our house and the wood line. And I don't even know why I don't even know, I'm not quite even sure why I stuck my camera in there. And oh my gosh, yeah. Freaked me out. I screamed. She just sat there, but I ran in the house. Um, but I'm like, okay, I think that the makers of Chewbacca, you know, they were basing it on, because that's exactly what she looked like. Now, again, I could only see like from the bridge of the nose. Her eyes were like more like close together, because some of them, eyes are, you know, further set apart. Hers were close together. It was just
Mhm.
freaky.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people say that, you know, and I'm not knocking anybody's belief
Yeah.
that they'll phase out.
Oh no.
I saw it phase out. It just disappeared. And kind of, I'm a nature guy, okay? And, you know, one thing that you'll learn if you duck hunt or if you deer hunt, if you've got an animal that's coming in close, don't look at them. Kind of look down and just kind of out of the top of your vision, try to watch them because they will see your eyes. They will see your eyes. That's like the first thing that they catch. And if they see your eyes, they're gone. Ducks, especially if a duck comes in and it sees your eyes, it's gone. Now, military folks, if you ever wonder why do we paint our faces in the military, that's because you're camouflaging the contours of your face, especially your eyes. That's the first thing that people notice, and that makes perfect sense to me that it would duck its head and cover its eyes.
Yeah. Yep.
But I think that the color thing here, which I'll just pop this up, Big Henry here says that he has 2 blonde, light, tan, 2 dark browns, and an orange brown mix. Now, with that being said, you know, a lot of people, when you think Bigfoot, the first color that comes to mind is this giant black thing. But when there's hairs that are suspected to be Bigfoot, when you look at that hair, it's not one color on that one hair. It's a mixture. It's like black, it's tan, it's kind of reddish, all on one strand of hair. And I think a lot of this, it phased out. You know, people said it just disappeared, especially like up in the state of Washington, where you have this rainforest, which is basically what it is. You got these giant ferns, moss all over everything, lots of cover, lots of concealment. All something has to do is just duck down.
Oh, yeah.
And it is gone. You cannot see it.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think that the multiple colors in the coat work like an environmental camouflage to help keep it hidden.
Yeah, I agree. I had talked to Robin Haynes. I don't know if you know her. Very, very knowledgeable. She's been having encounters since she was a little girl. And she said, just like anything, if you get a hybrid of anything, any animal, you're going to get different variations of what that mom is and what that dad is. And that's why I think there's such a huge range of how they look. And I definitely think, like you said, that, they're taller. They have, out here, they're much more aloof. Tom Cantrell had said, don't do anything that's going to threaten them because they will move on. Like, they're not going to be territorial enough that they're not going to put the clan at risk. They're just going to move on. And, so that kind of makes sense. That kind of makes sense. That's what I would think is the reason for all these different looks with hair color and with also facial features. Their heads, some have more of a dome. Some are just flat, round. Some have no neck, but others that I've seen, they do have, they're in proportion. Well, they're in proportion of a human, but they're just bigger. You know what I mean? Although their arms are definitely longer. And I think that's another indicator. If you get video and you're thinking, wow, that looks like a Sasquatch, but look at the arm length, because if it's longer than a human's, then that would be, that's probably a Sasquatch. If it's, that looks like human length, no, that's not a that's not a Bigfoot. That's not a Sasquatch. Hi, Jason.
When I watch video, I use it's a theory that I've come up with on my own, based on my own personal sighting and years of watching videos, especially the Patterson-Gimlin film. Sasquatch has a unique way that it walks. Other than it being bipedal, that is the only thing that's human about the way that Sasquatch walks. It moves with a bent-kneed gait. Both of its knees are bent as it's moving. and it's always leaning forward. And the gait is so smooth. It's like they're ice skating or skiing or something. It's just really, really smooth. You don't have any upper body movement like you do with a human. And that's some of the things that I look for to see if it is possibly a real Bigfoot or if it is something that, somebody dressed up in a suit or things like that. But it is really, really interesting to watch the way that they move, their colors and things like that. I'm part Native American. I'm Cherokee and Shawnee. And there's all kinds of stories from both the Cherokee people and the Shawnee people about how Sasquatch would take women and breed with them and have viable offspring with them. And, that it kind of leads me to think that maybe there are some out there and that are part human. And, like I said, too, I said it several times on the show, there's a DNA study coming out of the state of North Carolina right now. And I'm really excited about this study to see what their findings are. And I know they did one years ago in Texas with Dr. Ketchum, and, everybody shot her stuff down.
I didn't.
It wasn't viable or whatever.
Yeah, I disagree. That I think that anyway, but that's just my opinion.
Her thoughts are that it was human on its mother's side and an unknown primate on its father's side so far back in history. That really
unknown, really unknown. Like, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, just really unknown.
And when you get into hybridization, and I'm really going to add to my redneck mystique here. Anybody that's ever grew up on a farm that's been around mules or anything like that? A mule is a hybrid cross between a donkey and a horse. And you have to breed specifically a male donkey to a female horse to get a mule. In the laws of hybridization, they get the dominant traits from both parents. So that's where they get this hybrid vigor. Now you can flip-flop that. And you can use a female donkey that's bred to a male horse. That animal's called a henny. And genetically, they're the same as a mule. But they look a little different. They look a little different. And it's harder to get a henny than it is to get a mule. It's easier to breed a donkey to a horse and get a mule than it is to breed a horse to a donkey and get a henny. And, with the hybrid vigor thing, that really makes a lot of sense. As far as the way some of them do look more apish and some of them look more humanish. And I think it's a real viable possibility.
I agree. That one that I saw, like I said, that was Native American, that I thought had like Native American features, but with the slick back hair, I think he was like maybe I think he was like the first one that I didn't even know what I was looking at through the camera. And I was like, there's no way that there's no way. And then I went back to the spot and he wasn't there. And then I went back about a week later, 10 days, and he was sitting in the same spot. He was like, if you want to talk about a handsome Sasquatch, but he was kind of handsome. His face, his skin though was bizarre because it really looked like tree bark. I mean, from where, what I was seeing him from, probably maybe 100 feet away, maybe a little bit more, so it wasn't,
I think I might be able to explain the tree bark look. If you go back and look at historical photos of Native Americans, and Native Americans were famously outside most of their lives. Look at the deep wrinkles and things like that they have in their face from sun damage, wind damage, and things like that. And they've got this really stoic, really ancient looking face where they have all these wrinkles and things. And I think that's the same. I think Sasquatch has, like you said, some of them, and they are outside all the time. So they have wind damage and they have sun damage and, maybe even some frostbite or something. So I think that has a lot to do with the way that looks.
Could be. That makes sense.
I
started out thinking. Go ahead.
I explore
Sorry,
a lot
Gary.
of things to try to explain,
Yeah.
to explain to myself different ways that they look. Now, I'm not saying that I'm right.
Yeah, I know what
I'm
you're
just
saying. Yeah,
presenting a possibility.
right. Based
And
on the knowledge and the data that you have. Yeah.
it's really hard for a researcher to sit down and try to explain these things because we don't have a baseline. Well, we
Mm-hmm.
kind of do have a baseline, but we don't have, the particulars is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So what you should look for, what you shouldn't look for, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. I'm a thief. Okay. I will steal the best ideas from any researcher that I can see on a YouTube page or anything else like it and try it and see
Yeah.
if I
Why
get
not?
any kind of result.
Yep. Yeah.
And that makes some people mad. But listen, if it works,
Right.
I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yeah. Because that's what
that's
what we're researching for. Now I would never, like I said, run toward one. My husband and I were taking a hike just a couple months ago, and I said, "Look, I think there's a couple sitting back there." It was in a structure, and he said, "Oh," he's like, "No, that's," and I'm like, "No, look over here." He's like, "That's a log." I'm like, "No, look over here," and he looked through the binoculars. He's like, "Oh, you're right. It could be." He's like, "I'll tell you the easiest way for me to tell. I'll just walk right up in there." And I'm like, "You are not going to walk right up in there because, like, number one, super dangerous." He's like, "Well, just run if you see them coming at me." I'm like, "No." And I don't want, not only super dangerous, but I don't want to lose their trust because I'm building this trust. So he got it talking to. It is really like, he is such an invaluable resource to me. He's much more skeptical. So, although he is a believer, and definitely can't, he can't explain a lot of this evidence. But he also like grew up on a farm, lifelong hunter. So, is good with tracking and sounds. Like I had this one night, I got this great, it was kind of scary, audio, and I couldn't wait to the next morning. I'm like, "Wait till you hear this." And he's like, "Barb, that's raccoons fighting." I'm like, "Oh," but hey, it's good to know,
And that's something that I try to tell young researchers or new researchers, not necessarily young, but anybody that's just starting out in this field, is go back and watch the videos. Kind of get caught up in what's old and what's new because there's so much old stuff that's been proven to be false that keeps coming back up because there's a new researcher that finds it and brings it back up. But two, the second thing is know your location, know what animals are in that location, know what noises they make.
definitely.
Just for an example, white-tailed deer make some of the weirdest noises that you will ever hear. Owls make weird noises. Foxes make weird noises. There's so many things out there that make all these strange sounds. Me and my son and my father-in-law, we go to a hunting preserve every year, and we hunt feral hogs on this hunting preserve.
Oh,
And they have elk.
oh,
Elk make crazy noises. They have red stag that make crazy noises. So there's all these different animals that are making all these sounds. And, you really need to know what those sounds are. Because I'm just going to tell you, if you've never heard an elk bugle, the first time you hear it, and you're thinking to yourself, what in the world is that?
wow. Yeah. Yep.
So, that to know your sounds. And raccoons, that's
Ooh, crazy. Yeah.
trash pandas can sound really creepy.
Yes. Yeah. I was, just shocked. You were talking about the barred owl. Oh my gosh. Like that thing is terrifying. You think like a demon's up in a tree, I've heard those a couple times at our house. But it is a little different that it's a little, it's a little different than what I get. Obviously, sometimes, many times there's owls and like, okay, you got to write it off if it can be, but sometimes, sometimes not. Yeah. Screech owl. Woo. They're creepy.
Big Henry,
too.
I'm going to tell you right now, growing up as a child, we would go to my grandparents' farm and we would stay on their small farm. And back then, there was a lot of screech owls because there wasn't a whole lot of outside lighting and things like that.
Mhm.
And boy, when you hear them screech owls, I always thought it was this big, huge bird. When you come to find out, screech owls are only about like that tall.
Yeah.
They're just a little old bitty, but they make a huge
make
noise.
a big sound. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll scare you. Another thing too, I think it is important for new researchers too, is when you first start out, don't immediately come to a conclusion.
Mhm.
I think you should study and read and research and try to base your research on pretty solid information.
Mhm.
A lot of information now is kind of askew. People turn it to the animal camp, or people will turn it to the spiritual camp, or
Mhm.
people will turn it to this or turn it to that. I think it should just be taken as it is. The information that you get is the information that you get. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's animal or that it's a interdimensional thing or it's a spiritual thing, anything like that. Uh, that's something I think don't. I'm an animal believer because based on everything that I've ever seen, it
Mhm.
leads me to believe that it's an animal, a living, breathing terrestrial animal.
Mhm.
I haven't seen anything. I have seen some supernatural things, but I can't point them directly at Bigfoot
Mhm.
because I have not actually seen Bigfoot do this or do that
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever. But
Mhm.
with that being said, too, me being an animal guy is based on my own personal encounter and encounters that I've had. I will still listen to somebody that is a spiritual person that believes
Mhm.
Bigfoot is spiritual,
Mhm.
or someone that believes that Bigfoot is supernatural or extraterrestrial. Now, when you're taking reports from people, it's important to take what they say as what they think they saw.
Yes. Mhm.
Now, you can
Yeah.
develop your own theories based off of what they say, like my theory on phasing out or disappearing or whatever, cloaking.
Mhm.
I think it's just their natural camouflage is so good that they can. I call it pulling a Homer Simpson. If you've ever watched The Simpsons,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go back in the
yeah.
yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's the Homer Simpson effect is what that is.
Yeah.
So I'm open enough to listen to anything
Mhm.
and then look at what they've said and try to come up with my own personal theories on what they've said. But I'm not going to criticize anybody for what they say. I'm not there. I don't know what you saw.
Mhm.
I don't know what you
Mhm.
heard. I don't know what you smelled. You can
Mhm.
describe it to me the
Mhm.
best that you can, but I did not experience that. So
Mhm.
therefore, I'm already at a deficit. I don't
Yeah.
need to increase that gap between researcher and report
Yes.
by putting in my own personal bias.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think as a, so like when I do my podcast too, is that I've had people say, "Man, that guest you had on, did you believe that nonsense?" And I'm like, I don't have to believe it because that is their truth. Now, you have people that you're like, okay, that's not true. And they give the telltale, it's kind of, I investigated fraud cases, insurance cases. So not saying anyway, with that being said, I don't make a determination. I don't have to believe them if that is their truth. And I think that a lot of the problem in this community is that people want to automatically write write something off because it doesn't fit in with their beliefs. I literally thought that they were flesh and blood animals, and I still believe that, except that I think they're just, I think they're part human and they have some sort of abilities. I mean, Ron Moorhead talks about it, with quantum mechanics,
Quantum Bigfoot.
quantum physics,
Mhm.
like that I don't completely understand it, but I think there's something to be said. I have seen on my, like, okay, on our cameras, with night vision, there will be spots that are all of a sudden they turn blurry, but everything around is crystal clear. Now, I don't know. And we're not talking about nothing's moving like with wind or anything. do they have some sort of a like a force field? I don't know, that they can. The one that I saw, like I said, in the bush, that one that was sitting that hit its eyes, I that was maybe 15, 20 seconds max. Okay. The one that I saw here in August was much longer because I acted like I wasn't looking at him. Because I thought I want to make sure. But when I did look right at him and he saw me, it was like he was sitting under this structure that was just like that in itself was magnificent. It was kind of like a pyramid, with all swirly, sticks and stuff. And I remember I looked like up at the top, and then when I looked back down, he was gone. Now, I mean, I don't think he disappeared. I think he was able to move back. Because when he saw me looking at him, that's the most I've ever seen one move. Like he started to just like move around. And like, I think he was trying to get me, trying to disguise himself, trying to camouflage. But he also, this is the first one, like he looked like he was sparkling. And I don't know now I know that they say that their hair lacks the, medulla. It's clear. So was that just because I had my camera on with the flash going when I was recording? Was that just what I was seeing, as a result of going through this like clear, like if you look through a glass, was that what it was? I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but it kind of makes sense because I was really thought, why did he look like he was sparkling? And then I thought about that for a couple of days and I talked to some people and then I was like, wait a minute, what their hair? That could have been just his hair,
And two,
I do think
it depends on what the weather conditions were.
Yeah.
If it had been mist and the rain because it was the state of Washington.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
And
this was like a clear night. Oh yeah, definitely. This was just like a clear, it was dark enough that the woods behind him was dark, but I could see him. I think he was about 30 feet away. Oh my gosh, when my husband walked back into where he was standing, and that was how I was shocked at how big he was. Because he was he had like a body, like you're saying, like gangly, more like a basketball player's type of a frame. But man, I don't even know how 8, 9 feet. I'm not sure because he was so much larger. My husband's 5'6". He's not like a big guy anyway, but this was so much bigger. It was shocking. Because when I saw him, he looked in proportion, and I couldn't see like he was also seated, and I didn't see him walk away. I just saw him like seated and moving around, but. So it's interesting.
And
sorry.
We talked to a guest not too long ago who had like fingerprints that was left on vehicles and houses that was like they turned white. And they said it was the oil from their skin, the sebum from their skin. And the sparkling effect too could be just from natural oil.
That's true. That's a good point.
I mean, there's a lot of explanations that it could be, and then it could be something that we're completely unfamiliar with. That's the thing. We have to take it a step at a time, and we don't have a lot of mainstream scientists. We just lost Dr. Jeff Milgram, and I think that was a big hit for the Bigfoot community because we don't have a lot of scientists that are willing to go on, put their reputation and everything on the line, and do some serious research into Bigfoot because there are. I mean, listen, there's real research that goes on. Okay, 100%. There's real research that goes on, and then there's some people out there that are. I don't want to say kooks, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That
are just trying to
traumatize this. The paranormal side of it or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like I say too, every time, there's a tornado, they don't interview somebody that's a resident of that town that's got a college education. It's always the three-tooth,
Yeah.
it sounded like a train coming through here. Ain't been a train through here in 100 years. Nobody wants to go online, put themselves online and say, yeah, I believe it's true. And then here's, Hillbilly Gary saying, it sounded like a train coming through. So that hurts us in a way. But I'm not saying discount everything that's
right. Because you can't.
Because it's not your experience. That's their experience.
Mm-hmm. And some of the things I did learn by talking to other researchers, or not even researchers, because I'm an experiencer though too. I'm having encounters pretty consistently. Some of the strangest things that have been told to me that I thought, okay, whoa, and then it happens, and so I'm like, well, wow. So you're right. You really have to kind of listen and just not immediately write off what people are saying. I think in terms of audio, audio's a little different because that's something that, you can graph that out. And I've had that done, to see what that looks like. And I think that's so amazing that's why I love audio so much, because you can really, if you have the capability to so that's my favorite, but it is amazing how they can mimic. But with that being said, I think that there is a lot of video, visual, that gets written off because people automatically think, oh, that's pareidoia. That's pareidoia. Now, I mean, what is happening is it's a little different than pareidoia, because this is like finding faces in something that's not even, there's no faces. And I don't know, the stuff, it's not in every photo. It's not in every video. There was a guy that was in the chat in in an interview, and he said, I like your videos, but I just got to say, you think that there's Bigfoot everywhere. And I'm like, well, out of the literally tens of thousands, because I do, photos and videos that I have, I'm not going to share them that don't have anything in them. I share the ones, and I will say, this looks suspicious. I can't say that that's definitely a Bigfoot, but it's suspicious. You determine. Why I'm not interested in watching a bunch of somebody's video that probably is nothing in. I don't know. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time for that. I have too much of my own stuff to review. I just do. I think that, but I think a lot of it is written off.
And I think a lot of you researchers too get hung up in this instant gratification. And I'm gonna be honest. Look, I'm Monster Quest. I loved Monster Quest. Yeah. Finding Bigfoot. I love Finding Bigfoot. We've interviewed Cliff Barrickman on our show before. Cliff's a great guy. With all that being said too, I think the TV shows kind of hurt young researchers because they think you go out there and boom, you're going to have action. 90% of Sasquatch research is two people sitting in chairs out in the middle of the forest and doing absolutely nothing for hours on end.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I think a lot of it, like I said, people are expecting this every time they go in the woods to see something. And I have to be honest with you. If I have somebody that says every time I go in the forest, I see Bigfoot. Okay. That's automatically kind of on the line. It's on the line. I question that a little bit.
Yeah. I also think that people will say now, well, how do I go? How should I even start? I want to go and find. I think first of all, you have to try to find an active, area. Look to see if there's reports, and. Well, like you said, once you get evidence, then you have to go through, is this an ant? All the things that you have to go through. But I just think that instead of going to different areas all the time, like some people do, try to stick to an area, and try to develop a sort of relationship. Even if I feel like I'm talking to myself, and maybe I am a lot of the time. It's just better to, hey, introduce yourself, and again, if I'm talking to myself, whatever, who cares? I don't care. But try to develop like a relationship of trust. I don't know. That's just I think that people, it seems to me like, are more successful kind of when they, when they do that. But that's just that's just my opinion.
It's interesting. Find an active area. Okay, like where I live at, it's just now becoming something that people will openly talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
20 years ago, if you said, "Hey, I saw Bigfoot," oh, you're crazy.
Yeah.
So, it's just now getting to that, excuse me, where people will talk about it.
Yeah.
But like, there's 2 sightings in my hometown. My sighting is not on there because I didn't report my sighting to the BFRO or any of the big ones.
Yeah.
I told the people that I was in my group with about it, and I've discussed it here on the show. But I took my nephew to a place where I had heard that there had been an encounter back in the 80s with some guys that I knew. It was told to me and it was a little bit suspect because they were smoking a little marijuana, drinking some beer, and camping illegally and partying. Yeah. And they had a really rough encounter. It was throwing big rocks at them. It was throwing logs at them, big sticks. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys actually shot at it.
Oh,
to distract it so the other guys could get away. It got that bad. And I took him there, and my nephew's only 8. And I took him there this June, and we got maybe 500 yards up the trail and found a footprint.
Oh, wow.
But now that was all that we found. There was a broken tree that was pointed towards the trail and one footprint. Mm-hmm. And, he's 8, so that tore him all to pieces. The first time he's ever been out in the woods like that.
Yeah.
He found it. So,
That's
find
cool.
some place where there has been some type of activity reported, whether it's online or word of mouth. Somebody says, "Hey, I saw this here." Go there and look around and see what you'll find stuff. There will be some kind of signs. But now, like in my own encounter, I believe that what I saw was a transient species a transient individual, because it's been 20 years. It was in 2006. So it's been 20 years. It was like January of 2006.
Wow.
And I haven't seen it anymore. There was a few oddball things that happened close, because it's only a half a mile from my house where I had my encounter. Wow.
Yeah.
And there's really not been anything else that goes on. So I really do think that maybe that one was just moving through, kind of trying to find his own way.
Yeah. It's interesting that you said like that you then, because this is what we do though too, you like second guess yourself. Like you saw that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What else could it be? Like, that's not a human. It's not a bear. It's not like, no, there's nothing. But then we go through this like process of like, especially everybody, especially if it's somebody that this is their only, and they're completely surprised by it, then they try to talk themselves out of it. And it's just,
there was 2 of us in the vehicle at the time. And we had polar opposite reactions. I was super curious, and he doesn't want to talk about it. Mm-hmm. So both of us saw it. We had 2 different reactions to it, which that's fairly normal. Mm-hmm. And it's fairly normal for people who have lots of reactions. Mm-hmm. Another thing too that I think is, and it's kind of detrimental in a way, when you do have a situation where there are 2 witnesses, you get one description from one witness and one description from another witness, and they may not match. Mm-hmm. And that, unfortunately, that's just eyewitness testimony. That's the way it is.
Yeah. Trauma response. I call it like a trauma response.
Yeah, it is.
If it's dramatic, you're going to change things, You
brought up pareidolia earlier, and I think that plays a lot into a lot of a lot of our research, because some people do have, it's human nature to see faces. Okay. And I talked about this earlier, the uncanny valley theory of human evolution. And pareidolia plays a lot into the uncanny valley of human evolution, because what the theory bases itself on is anytime a human sees something that looks human, but is not human, they have an immediate response to it. A lot of people are revolted by it. They get angry. They don't trust it, things like that. And basically, according to this theory, what it works around is at one point, there was probably 7 pre-humans that existed at the same time. So you probably had Homo heidelbergensis, you had Neanderthal, Denisovans, Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, and some others that all existed at the same time. And you go farther back in history, and you had things like Paranthropus, you had, Lord, it all escapes me now. But anyway, what it deals with is they all look similar because they were kind of all on the same family tree. And it is very common knowledge that they preyed on each other as a food source. So maybe, like with this uncanny valley theory of human evolution, the way it works is when you see something and it looks really similar to you, but it's not, maybe it's trying to prey on your children, or maybe it's trying to steal one of your elderly members of your family out, or something like that. So that's where I think a lot of the pareidolia comes from, is looking for faces. And a lot of the reactions that people have when they see something that looks fairly human, but is definitely not. I think that's where you get a lot of that trauma response from, is based on this theory. And I read up on it pretty good, and I don't know if there's been any real heavy scientific study into it, but it sounds pretty solid. It's a protection type theory. This is why we are so protective and why we're leery of these things. But pareidolia, everybody has had that experience. It's kind of like deja vu. Everybody has had the deja vu. But everybody's looked at something and is like, there's a face in that rock. And then you show it to somebody else and they're like, that's just a rock. Yeah. But I see a face right here.
Yeah.
But pareidolia can be a good thing, and it could be a bad thing. Because some people do see things that are not there. And some people do have that hyper-focused where they can actually see things that other people can't. So I think, it's kind of 50-50. It's good and it's bad.
Yeah.
But,
because there's certainly people too, and this is, I don't really understand how that works, but I feel like there are people that have the ability to, look at energy kind of and determine what, I don't know. I don't even know if I'm, saying this correctly, but they just are more gifted in seeing things, like in sight, and a couple of these people have given me, like tips on what to do, and to try to see better, to go over my evidence, try to either put it up on the biggest screen you can possibly, or you might want to take it to a smaller screen, because there you can see, the best thing is just basically to use like a magnifying glass, and to kind of go over, because you have to have a process, and oh my gosh, and it's such a long process, because you have to look at if you're trying to find evidence.
One of my biggest tools that I use in like a still photo or something like that, or I might even take a screen grab of a video, is I alter the color. Like I may reverse the color, do like a black and white and reverse the color. And boy, that really makes a lot of stuff pop. It's not there.
It does.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not a technology guy. Okay. I'm pretty simple, just to be honest with you. So if I can do that, I'm sure there's people out there that can do way better than I can.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
think that's
interesting.
great. Absolutely. It's because you will see things, that you didn't think were even there.
Yeah. Well, Barb, it's getting late. I'm going to give you an opportunity here real quick before we end the show. Go ahead and plug your podcast, anything you want to do, your
Okay.
YouTube page,
Yeah,
Facebook page,
I
whatever
would
you got.
my Facebook page is No Drama Bigfoot and Cryptids. But more so, like, I do put things on there, but not so much anymore. When I started the page because I was sick of the drama, in this community, that you can't ask questions. You can't, you were getting crucified on pages and like, you're crazy and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm not going to tolerate any of that. You come onto this page and you start to be like troll behavior. Sure, ask questions and we can get we can have some heated, edgy kind of, conversation sometime, and that's okay. But if you're just here just to be a jerk, no, you're gone. And I really started, it was more like of a local thing, but it branched out because now there are pages now that are doing the same thing. And I love that. But more so my best evidence is on my YouTube channel, the No Drama Bigfoot Encrypted. So if people want to follow me on that would be great, and check out I don't get offended when people ask questions. There's some people that are asking questions. There's some people that are just being jerks. Obviously you're going to get blocked, but I will definitely engage if with somebody that has questions or concerns or like whatever they think it might be that, that I'm not seeing. I say all the time, please, if you see something that I've missed, let me know, or you think it's something else, because I think that's really what I don't know anything 100%. Yeah, so that's that. But I want to really thank you for having me on. It's been so enjoyable.
I really appreciate you coming on. If you don't care, can you hang on just a minute after I close the show out? So
Absolutely.
Talk a bit offline.
Yeah.
Anybody that's watching tonight, if you enjoyed the show, hit us with a like, subscribe. If you're interested in it, tell other people about it. There's a lot of people out there. I might be biased, but I think this is a good show, and this is a no drama type situation. Mm-hmm. I really hate the way that people in the Bigfoot community fight amongst themselves.
Yes, I agree.
If we can all just come together and work together, we could really advance the study of this enough where we can get it together. And there are no experts.
Right.
Okay, we're all out here doing the same things, trying to prove something that we can't prove yet. Mm-hmm. So anybody, I'm a little leery of people say, "Oh, well, I'm an expert." No, you're not.
Yeah.
But anyway, I really appreciate everybody coming on tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Great show. People in the appreciate chat you guys, too. And like I say all the time,
thank you.
Yes, ma'am. The show is not for me. It's not for Barb. It's for you guys out there listening, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys that tune in and listen to us. It's great. I really do appreciate you guys. So with that being said, I'm going to say good night. You guys have a great rest of the week. We'll see y'all.
Good night.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. We are incredibly grateful for our community. Because of you, we've surpassed 6,700 subscribers and continue to grow every day. Our mission here at StevuR is simple: to provide a platform for honest, down-to-earth discussions about Bigfoot, free from drama and ridicule. If you've enjoyed the show, please help us spread the word. If you're interested in being a guest, you can reach us via our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, or by emailing us at sasquatchwatchradio@gmail.com. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube to access our full archive dating back to 2008 and to stay updated on all upcoming episodes. If you've had a sighting or an encounter you'd like to report, let us know. We have a network of researchers across the United States ready to assist.
You can now find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. Please leave us a comment and let us know what topics you'd like to hear next. We'll see you next Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Until then, keep on squatching.